All right. Mhm. This over here. All right, guys. How's everybody doing today? Good morning, good afternoon. Hope Bill is feeling better. I don't know.
Good
Is he
morning.
on? Good morning. All right, guys, let's get to it. Bitcoin and XRP still trending down in this downward trending channel. However, it does look possibly that we could have a tiny little break in a sub resistance level of the overall resistance. And what I mean by that is if you look at this overall downward trending channel, this is XRP. Let me just adjust this to right about there. We got resistance, resistance, resistance. This is iffy. Resistance, 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 support, support, support. Resistance, resistance. Let me get rid of this one. Resistance, resistance, resistance. We're not quite up there yet. We're still kind of in the middle stages of this downward trending channel. In fact, if I put a if I put a parallel channel on instead of that, I'll just take this, I'll go right over that top line and then bring it down. I would say I'll get rid of this one for now, just so you can see that. I would say that we just got back above the center line. Here's the center line. Obviously, we had resistance, resistance, support, resistance, resistance, support, resistance, resistance, support, 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 resistance, resistance, breakthrough, support of the center line, support, resistance. So there is a center line, obviously, and there it is, all the way back to the beginning. Couple instances where we broke out above and actually almost held, went back below resistance, broke out above, below resistance, broke out above, support, 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 breakthrough. So we're in the middle. And the reason why I had this line here is because if I just take it from this top and touch the tops of all these, we might have just broke through that as well. I mean, we're trying to break through that. I'm gonna get rid of that because that's not as important. We are in the middle. So I have a feeling that we could see a pump back to the $2 range for XRP in the near future. Would look like this, maybe up to right around $2, maybe even further, $2.20, $2.30, $2.40, which would bring us up to this level here because we've had a very similar spike before. I'm just going to put it here in this zone. Oops. Let me get rid of this other stuff. And I'll leave that. We've had this before where we've come down below this level, held resistance, came down to the bottom, broke out. This is kind of where we're at right here. We're right about here. We need to get back above to the top of this downward trending channel, break out, which would bring us up to the, $2 range approximately, probably retest and pump up into this area up here into the $2.40 to $2.60 range. And then we would have a sell-off. We would have a sell-off from all the people who sat down here so long or bought down here rather, and want to take profits because they're tired of it, and that would be their opportunity. That could possibly bring us back down to retest the $2 range before having a bigger move to the upside. So just don't fall for that. If if we do pump up, you can take profits if you're trading. But right now, guys, is consolidation, especially in your, if you're holding XRP, if you're hodling, if you're accumulating for the big pump, the big move to the upside, to the mass adoption, where you're not selling anytime in the near future, this would be a profit taking possibly for this long position right here with leverage, but it wouldn't be something that, I mean, I'm trading on a XRP margin. So even if I do take profit, I've just accumulated more XRP. I'm not selling it back to USDT. So with that being said, I am up a little bit. I'm up only 20 XRP on these two little positions that I gave last night. And yeah, I see that happening. Guys, I see XRP really, really coming into, I can't even believe it's under $2 still, to be honest with you. And I think it's by design, and I think it's not going to last. All the ETFs that have already published, already launched, XRP ETFs, all the adoption, all of the multi-billion-dollar contracts with major financial institutions are going into place. And this reminds me of something I'm going to show you. This reminds me of Bitcoin back here, right here. We have a giant bullish flag. Right here is where Bitcoin's 13 ETFs got approved. Right here. We actually, this is interesting. Some of you may not know this, but right about here, we hit resistance right there at that yellow line. Bitcoin came up for the first time since the previous all-time high. Bitcoin came from 68K over here in 2021, all the way down to 15.5 in the bear market bottom. And then climbed all the way back up and hit the ceiling right here. You can see it. Boom. Right where that white line is at 68K. That was the previous all-time high. Then we had this huge pullback all the way down to here, 59K. That's almost a $10,000 drop right there instantly as soon as it hit previous all-time high. You guys could see that right there, all the way back down to there. That was about a 15% drop. Okay. Now, right about here, there was a false flag news article that was on the SEC's Twitter channel that said the ETFs were approved. And boom, we popped up to 73.5 right here. Then the SEC came out and said their Twitter channel got hacked and that they did not approve the ETFs. I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but it's kind of crazy. And then we dropped all the way down to here, 61K. Which was a 17% drop. Then, right about here, a couple weeks later, they did announce that they finally did approve the ETFs. This first time was not true. This time was true. And we didn't even make a higher high. We got above the 68K, but we didn't even make a higher high than the first false flag. And we hit 71.6. We came down, we came up and hit 72.5. We came all the way down as low as 56K, came all the way up and hit 71.8, 71.6. And then we came down to 53, came back up, hit 70, maybe 70K, came all the way down to 49K after that. No one could understand what was going on, but that was a retest of previous resistance. And really previous support. First time we had support there. Right here. So we had this little zone right here. Resistance, resistance, support. But here's the point, is that this is where the Bitcoin ETFs were approved. 13 of the largest hedge funds in the world pouring billions and billions into Bitcoin. And we consolidated in a downward trending channel for 280 days, 7 months before finally breaking out. When Grayscale ran out of Bitcoin to fund the ETFs with, and they had to buy it on the open market. Boom. We shot up from 70 from right here at this point, 64K, all the way up to 108. First, we hit an all-time high right here at 77, and we immediately pumped up to 93, then 99, then 104, then. So it was one all-time high after another. Then we consolidated, hit 109, and fell into another giant falling wedge. I know I've gone over this before, guys. Some of you might be getting tired of hearing it, but the parallels are evident and obvious. So we had a major falling wedge. We come down to retest previous support and resistance first before breaking out. Then we hit a new all-time high at 112. Another bull flag. Then we break out of that. Hit 120. 124, 126. 3 more all-time highs after that, keeping in line with pretty much this upward trending resistance. So that's Bitcoin. And Bitcoin has done it again, where after making an all-time high, it's more subtle, less high as previous, but falling into another falling wedge, coming all the way down to these levels, almost retesting previous support here at 74.5. But this wick right here did hit 80K, 80,500 to be exact, which was support for the most part here, with the exception of this wick that wicked down to the 74.5 to bring it out. So this might be the support at this level, because that's the majority of the support right here. If I really zoom in here, you can see support, 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 resistance, resistance. That is a real line. We did break through here, and we didn't retest when we broke back above it. And this is the retest. Boom. Pulled out. Now, the problem here is we made a little bit higher highs and a higher low and a higher high and a higher low and a higher high, but then we come back down, and basically we're still in this channel. So until we break out of this, by the way, we're up against the EMA ribbons. We're wicking into them, but we need to get through them and this downward trending resistance line in order to have a real breakout. And it looks like we just wicked up on the daily. We wicked up through 1, 2, 3 of these EMA ribbons, the bottom 3, and hit that downward trending resistance line. Same as we hit it here, same as we hit it here, same as we hit it here, same as we hit it here. Here we wicked through 3 or 4 or 5 of those ribbon lines, but it wasn't enough to get us through the downward trending resistance. So this is where we're at, guys. We need to break through that in order to get through this. And if we don't, it's just going to be probably more of the same, slowly coming down, possible double bottom here at the 80K.
Does that look like a head and shoulders kind of?
Yes. Thanks for reminding me. So we also have, this is the daily, by the way, we also have a potential head and shoulders here. And I say potential because this side's not done yet. If this breaks through, then it won't be a head and shoulders. But right now, it does look like we do have one where we could have a left shoulder, head, and right shoulder situation. And it would be kind of downward trending, this whole thing, because here's the bottom of it, really. And what does that mean? That just means that if we cannot hold here, if we come back down to this level again, it could be possibly, let's just go to the top of the head to this line. That would be probably where we could break down to. And what does that bring us? Oh, wow. Right in the middle of the overall resistance and support major zone here between the 68K from the previous all-time high and this high here of 73.8 and this support here. So I'm going to get rid of this line right here and I'll just bring this over to there. And so Bitcoin is still the catalyst, but XRP does have the chance to break away. This would be the opportunity. But if it doesn't, if it can't, if it's still correlating with Bitcoin, if things are, and by the way, everything seems to be still, there has been no altcoin season breakout or anything unusual happening, in my opinion. This is why the signals, this is why it's getting a little quiet in the signal channel, guys, because it's very difficult to give signals when we're consolidating and barely moving. And these lines are, and these little candles are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It is a breakout imminent situation, but there's a lot of resistance here, guys. We have the overall downward trending resistance. And let me go down to the lower time frame, a little lower so you can see it even better. But we also have the EMA ribbon on the daily. Doesn't matter what it looks like on the 4 hour, the 1 hour, but on the daily, we're still underneath it. And on the 4 hour, it does look like we're hitting resistance here. Still. On the 1 hour, we just curled back. I mean, after piercing through it a little bit like this one, it looks like we might be coming back down. So let's go to XRP. Let me show you that over on this chart. XRP, similar situation, but XRP is not near Bitcoin. The fact that Bitcoin is not breaking out is probably the reason why XRP is not up to the top of this yet either, because it is kind of still correlating, but XRP is trying to get up. It's trying to get up to the top of this. Bitcoin's already at the top of this. But if Bitcoin cannot break out of its little resistance level, then XRP, because what Bitcoin's going to do is it's probably going to do this. Bitcoin did this, hit it, and it's starting to curve down right now. But what it could do is come down to the center line, Bitcoin, not this one, this Bitcoin, and then come back up. And what this could do, what XRP could do while that's happening, is it could just go like this and come back up. Right? So, and I think if Bitcoin, if Bitcoin does come to the center line and bounce. So let's go back and look at Bitcoin's center line, because a breakout usually happens after the center line is bounced on. On the daily, it looks like we're still wicking out and trying to break out of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a parallel channel, start at the top, do the same thing I did, bring that down to the bottom, and right about somewhere in here. Bitcoin would need to bounce on this center line, and that would be right about where that support is before breaking out. But guess what? It already did. So it bounced here and really wicked down to that center line. Now we did have some upward trending support here, but let's get rid of that. And look, it hit that center line. So remember what I always say, guys, if you've been watching for a while, usually right before a breakout, we will hit support, which we hit here at 80K, 80,500. That was the previous support level. Right? And then we will hit the top of the channel, and then we will come down and retest the center line first before breaking out. Well, we hit that. We hit the top. We come down and test the center line. This could be the time that we break out. It hasn't yet. It does look like it's hitting as resistance. It does appear to be, especially if I go back to this one, it looks like it's hitting resistance, but we could very well have a center line getting ready to happen. I mean, getting ready to get hit. I mean, I'm sorry. We could have a breakout getting ready to break out because we already hit the center line. We hit that center line right here. And I can go and show you. Let's go to the daily. I can show you many times how that works. Here's an example. We hit the top, we hit the bottom, we hit the top, we hit the bottom. And before we break out, before there's ever a breakout, we usually come down and hit previous resistance. I mean, previous resistance as support. And then we come up and hit the top again. And then we come down to the center line before breaking out. Time and time again, it happens. So doesn't, not always, not 100% of the time, but many times it comes down and hits that center line first before breaking out, and people get faked out because they think, oh, it's just coming back down, and they short it, but really it's just coming to retest that center line. So let's just see, because we could be getting ready for a breakout here, and it does kind of look like it is. But if you go to the lower time frame, it does look like it's actually bouncing. Well, this when I go down to the hourly, it looks like we actually hit the center line and broke out, and we're retesting now as support. And that very well could be the case. Do I have all these right? Yeah, I think I have these right. I think we actually did break out on the lower time frames. And we could be, I mean, center line was already hit. Resistance, support, 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 support. Center line hit, breakout, support. That's why I went long. I went long on the breakout, but just as a just in case situation. But if we look in the signal channel right here, BTC, hedge trade, XRP, BTC, long BTC and XRP, current open prices. But that's because this was XRP. XRP is breaking out of the downward trending resistance inside the overall channel, and Bitcoin is breaking out of the downward trending resistance. So if this is a retest, if we do not fall back below this downward channel, then it would look like this, where we bounce here and then possibly come back up to retest this previous support and resistance level if you go back far enough. That would be about an 11% pump back to the upside and bring us right up to about 100K. Now, will that be the beginning of a new pump to the upside? Let's just go to a little higher time frame, because even if we do that, we could hit major resistance there. And then that could, if we can't get through 100K or even higher, let's say to 108K, because that would be nice. And we can't get through that for whatever reason, we're looking at possibly just another giant head and shoulders. And we could have some more bloodbath, some more price drop in the near future, if that's the case. The fact that we're holding here, though, above 80 is positive. That's still bullish, guys. Some people say, oh, we've been in a bear market now for, since October, since the bull market top. I don't think so. I think we're still in a bull market until we break below 70. We would have to get below this level here, in my opinion. One thing that's interesting here is if you look at this falling wedge here, we had lower lows and lower highs all the way to the breakout. We also, once we came down and once we hit this upward trending support, we hit the top and we came down to the center line, but we wicked all the way down through it. So we kind of bounced on the center line and broke out. But this still was a lower low. Over here, we have a low and we have two higher lows. Normally, that would be a good sign, but because we're hitting resistance here and this is so far not a higher high, it's possible that we're losing some steam here, losing some buying pressure. Cindy, I'm sorry you got the flu. Don't get a flu shot, whatever you do. Joy says, I can't see your screen. Hopefully you can. Everyone else can. I'm sharing.
We can see it.
It's on your end, Joyce. You're going to have to look for.
I was at Nationwide years ago. I worked for the NRS, their 457 plan. I sold the 457 plan to public employees. And they had a flu shot day. The lady in front of me got the flu shot and straight passed out. I was like, I'm good. I'm good on the shot. And then I didn't get it. Never have.
Oh my God. Yeah. So much stuff is coming out. Think about this, guy.
Crazy.
Drugs and medicine is so expensive, right? Everything is expensive. The one that's causing the most damage. There's been a report that said that like 70%, 80% of the people that got the flu shot got the flu right afterwards and got very sick. Way more than the people that didn't get the flu shot. So what are they injecting into you? I don't want to get off topic here, but I can't help myself sometimes because when I think about just the total scam and fraud and, just evil going on in the medical world right now. Me personally, guys, this is my opinion. I'm not telling what anybody to do, but I will never go to a general health practitioner. In other words, I will not go to the doctor. I will only go to emergency care. Now, some people might say, well, that's not safe. Doctors mean well. Yeah, they might mean well. They might. But the reality is have you ever been to the doctor and you watching them on their little iPad after diagnosing you and after telling you what they think you should take or what they're going to prescribe? What they are doing is they are Googling, they are going to WebMD rather, and they are looking up the required prescription for your symptoms. Most doctors don't know shit about nutrition or health or causation. They don't know what really caused the problem. They just have a certain handbook as to what to prescribe based on your symptoms. It's all disease care. It's symptom care. It's not get to the core of the problem care. It's, oh, you have this, take this. Oh, you got this, take this. They never try to get to the root cause. So for me, anyway, I've never been healthier. I've never felt better since I just cut out everything and just went to Whole Foods. But It's all what you put in your mouth to begin with. So try to be healthy. Healthcare industry lobbies the government. Oh, it's just totally crazy, guys. The more you go down to the rabbit hole. By the way, I've texted and I've sent, people who asked if you care, if you want to ask. I think Bill put all those links somewhere and saved links, but
Yeah. They're in the audiobook library, your carnivore links.
oh yeah. You guys might not be interested in the carnivore diet or anything like that, but what it really boils down to is whole foods. What it really boils down to is you can eat vegetables, you can eat fruits, you can eat meat, but the only reason I cut out vegetables and fruit because I was cutting out carbs, because carbs beget carbs. The more carbohydrates you eat, the more you crave more carbohydrates. That's the only reason I cut it out, because you can't control your hunger when you're constantly eating carbohydrates, and that causes you to overeat or eat when you're not hungry and just snack and gain weight. And that also wreaks havoc on your system and causes lots of inflammation. So when you cut out carbs totally, all sugars and carbs, you will drop all the fat, you will feel better, your blood work will come back better, everything just gets better. But it's very difficult. It's not easy to cut out carbs. Everybody thinks they need them. Everybody thinks they're healthy. They're not. Ribeyes, Michael, ribeyes are great too. Yeah, I could live on ribeyes. That's all you need. But anyway, I was talking about the flu. I mean, you don't even know what they're injecting into you. And if you ever see those videos where the person has a hidden camera and they go to the pharmacist and ask for the actual pamphlet that shows the ingredients in the flu shot, the pharmacist doesn't even know what's in it. And then when they get called out and asked to actually read it and would you actually recommend, they end up saying, no, I'm sorry, I don't recommend it. It's not healthy. God, in his infinite wisdom, somehow, when he was creating you, forgot some things that we all of a sudden need now. We need chemicals. We need aluminum injected into us. We need baby foreskin, whatever the hell they're putting into these vaccines. We need eggs. We need formaldehyde. We need all this shit all of a sudden after a million years of survival without it. So it's just crazy what's going on, guys. People are getting sicker and sicker. New symptoms are coming out every day. Autoimmune diseases are gone through the roof. They were never, in my entire life, never heard of the word autoimmune until maybe in my late 40s. And that's because all of a sudden, after COVID and after all the vaccines, everybody just started having these weird symptoms and these weird problems. Just genetic mutations and manipulation. Anyway, we can go down a whole rabbit hole there, guys. I don't want to freak anybody out, but you should be trying to detox from spike proteins if you had a vaccine or if you had COVID. I did not get the vaccines. I was already anti-vaccine for the last 20 years, but I did get COVID, supposedly, but it was probably just the flu or some variation of rhinovirus, because it just so happens that during COVID, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I think it was like 50,000 people die per year from the flu every year for as long as I can remember, except for during COVID. No one died from the flu. No one got the flu that year. Everybody just got COVID instead, which right there should tell you it's all bullshit. Everybody just got the flu, and some people died because of the treatment. Anyway, you can disagree. You can say COVID was different. It probably was. They probably did put something out there in the air. I think it was in the air. I think it was falling from the sky. It was environmental for sure. But
chemtrails.
Chemtrails most likely, yes. Who knows? Guys, it's already coming out. It's been proven that what they do is they fly in a certain area, let's say Dallas Fort Worth area, and they release all kinds of chemtrails in the air, and then they monitor the local hospitals to see who comes in with what symptoms, and then they know what the result is going to be from that particular drop. Who is doing this to us? What gives them the right to poison us? It's the only thing we can't control, guys. And so we should all be up in arms about it. We should all be voicing our opinions publicly, because we can control what we put in our mouths to a degree. You can go to the best farms, you can go to the best produce stands, you can try to buy grass-fed, grass-finished beef, you can try to do all the right things. But if you're shopping at a grocery store that gets their fruit and vegetables from scrupulous, money-hungry farmers and corporations that have to spray chemicals on everything, you really have to be careful these days of what you put in your mouth. But the one thing we can't control is what they're spraying in the sky that's falling on to us and that we're breathing every day. And I don't care what you think about what I just said. Bill Gates is trying to block the sun for global warming is the biggest crock of shit in the world. It's the biggest bullshit ever. There's no such thing. It's just amazing what's happening in this world right now. And people are just complacent, letting it happen. We don't, what choice do we have, right?
Hey,
Anyway,
Nico.
yes, sir.
One, you have to be responsible for your own health care and take an active role in it. If not, the doctors are making recommendations. If you just blindly go by their recommendations, then, you get what you get. But your health care is ultimately up to you. That's not the reason why I wanted to comment. You mentioned earlier about, selling your coin, if you're looking at a potential drop in price. I think one thing that people need to consider is in doing so, you're creating a tax event if you're one that's paying taxes. And the implications of that could, dramatically affect or even reverse any potential gains from buying back in. So that's more of a complex equation. You have to look in and evaluate to see if it's worth it rather than just staying in and continuing to amass more coin.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, the game, unless you're an expert, don't get me wrong, there's day traders out there who trade the stock market who make, let's say, 250,000 a year trading in profits, and then they got to pay 30, 40% capital gains, maybe more, depending on your state taxes, things like that. There is some word out there that crypto is not going to be taxed and your gains on crypto is tax free now and all that stuff, but I haven't seen the official that's actually gone into effect yet. But I'm not going to advocate one way or another, but I try to trade in crypto and accumulate more and don't sell it. But if you have to sell it, in other words, if you are trading for the sole purpose of paying your bills and you have to take the profit that you make and convert it back to US dollar and send it back to your bank to pay your bills, then that is a taxable event. And that is, you guys got to talk to the right people and do the right things there. I can't advise on that. I'm not a tax accountant, but if you're buying and holding, what I would recommend is that if you are really, really serious about creating wealth for yourself, you need to ignore all of these little ups and downs. You need to almost be oblivious to them and not even let them bother you. Some people get very, very nervous when they buy XRP at $3 and it drops down to $1.50. They think they're losing money. I better get out of this. I bought this at $3 and that's my account is half of what it was. I lost 50%. No, you didn't lose anything unless you sell. If you sell down there, then yes, that's called realized losses. But if your account is just down because you bought at $3, you bought 1,000 XRP at $3, let's just say. So you spent $3,000. And XRP drops down to $1.50, and now your account says the value is at 1,500. You think you lost half of your money, but it's unrealized losses, which means that you didn't lose anything unless you sell it. Because if the price goes back up to $3 or $4 or $5, everything that you have will be worth that much more. And so you just have to kind of weather that storm and just know and have some conviction that this whole up and down game, guys, is how you can make money scalping it. You can make money swing trading these moves in the market. But if your overall goal is to have, 100 Bitcoin or 10 Bitcoin by the time it gets to $1 million, then you can never sell it, no matter if it's up or down. But what you can do to dollar cost average and to bring your overall price per coin down is to just buy more on these big down dips. You don't sell here, you buy more here. You don't sell here, you buy more here. You don't sell here, you buy more here. Or if you're trading, you go long here, you get out here. You go long here, you get out here, you go long here, and you get out here. When I say get out, I'm not even talking about selling. I'm talking about just closing the trade out and taking your profit in crypto, which means you have more Bitcoin than you had. And then when you go long here, you're going long with more Bitcoin. If you're trading on a Bitcoin margin. If you're trading on USD margin, all you're doing is accumulating more USD which is pegged to the US dollar, which is going down in value over time. So it just depends on your goals. If your goal is to make money trading and accumulate as much crypto as possible, then you got to take some profits, I guess, sometimes, close out positions and wait for the next trade setup with the ultimate goal of accumulating more crypto, or taking the money that you make from those trades and buying another type of coin. Like if you're trading fart coin, for instance, and fart coin has a ridiculous, pump to the upside, and you're able to make a few $1,000% or a few $1,000s on USD on that, or USDT, and then you take that USDT and buy more XRP with it, then that is a way to continue to grow your crypto portfolio by using the profits from the trading rather than coming out of your pocket every time you want to buy. I don't know what everybody's magic number is or what they can afford, but if do a little reverse engineering, if XRP gets to $100, which I have, in my personal opinion, I have no doubt in my mind that XRP will eventually get to $100. Whether it's going to be in the first quarter of this coming year or 3 years from now, I don't know. I don't know the time horizon. But if it gets to $100, is how much you have right now going to net you a lot of money or not? And if I know for sure that it's going to get there, why would I not try to accumulate as much as possible while it's still under $2? That would be a 50x to the upside. And then you got to look, is anything else I could put my money in going to bring me a 50x over the next year or two? And if your answer is no, or if your answer is yes, there's a few things, well, then spread out your risk amongst a few different things. I will tell you this, guys, as long as I've lived, the only thing that makes more money than the potential of a huge pump in crypto that I've ever seen is having a successful business. The very few things can you just buy and sit there and wait that will go up 50x or more in a short period of time. Very few things. In our lifetime, there's been a few things, but very few things. And most of those things are crypto. I mean, who would have thought 10 years ago that you could buy something for $1 that will be worth $100,000 within 10 years? Bitcoin is the only thing that's ever done that I know of. That at 10 million% gain in a 10-year period. But what if XRP does that? What if XRP goes to $10,000, $50,000, or $100,000 in 10 years? Let's say it takes 10 years for XRP to get to $100,000. Is it possible even? Is 10,000 possible? Some people say no because of market cap. But that does depend on the total use case or the amount of XRP required to complete all the transactions. If billions pour into XRP from the institutions, it's not the retail market that's going to make XRP go through the moon. It's the billions that are going to come in right now from the institutions, because it's going to be a liquidity grab because they know what's about to happen. And then it will be very difficult for retail markets to even buy any because there won't be any available on the retail markets because the big players are buying it all up. That means those who already have it will be locked in. And you're right now is the only opportunity you have to front run the institutions and the governments of the world. You can position yourself before they do. Now, you may do it on a much smaller scale, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 XRP. Some of you can afford. But if XRP goes to $100, and let's say that's it, let's say it only goes to $100, that's 50x. Okay. Let's say you got 20,000 XRP. Some of you might say that 20,000, that's a lot. Some of you have way more than that already. I know because I've talked to you. Right now, 20,000 XRP is worth, what is it right now? $1. Let's just say $1.90 for the sake of this. That's $38,000 worth right now. And if it goes up to $100, that's 50x. That's 1.9 million. I don't really know of anything else you can put 20 grand in or 30 grand in that can make you $2 million or nearly $2 million in the next couple years. And even if hopefully it's the next couple months, guys, but let's just say it's a couple years. Because you're going to know when it gets to $5, $6 and $7, it ain't coming back down. You're going to know when it starts to creep up to $11, $12, $13, that it's just on its way to much higher prices. And you're going to really wish, just like all of my friends, when I was telling them to buy Bitcoin at 1,200, when I was telling them to buy it again at 4,000 or 5,000, they said, no, it's too late now. I should have did it when you told me when it was 1,200. And then it went to 10,000. Like, damn, I should have bought it at 5,000. Oh, I'm going to wait for it to come back down. And then instead of coming back down, it goes up to 19,000. And then they're like, fuck, I should have bought it when it was 10. How many of you wish you could go back and buy Bitcoin at 10,000 instead of, I mean, you were wishing you could go back and buy it as $1, but I'm sure that many of you wish you could buy it at 10,000 right now if you knew what was going to happen to it. And so, you know, Ferrari, Lamborghini, all these luxury brands, same thing, guys. Back when I had my call center, some of you may know this story. Back when I had my call center, I was doing this was like from 1999 to 2007. I was doing about $12 million a year in gross revenue. I was probably bringing home about 600 grand a year after all expenses, which was not great, which was not a great return, but I was still living large back. We're talking about, you know, late 90s, early 2000s. And I was going to buy a Lamborghini Countach. It was my dream car since I was a kid. I had a poster of it on the wall back in the, you know, late 70s, early 80s. It was $89,000 in 1999, 2000, 2001. It was $89,000 for a used 10-year-old Lamborghini Countach. And I thought that was just outrageous. It was so expensive. I was like, I never had a car that expensive. I got the dealer. I got everything. I went and test drove it. I looked at it, but I just couldn't pull the trigger. I couldn't justify spending almost $100,000 on a car. I knew there were cars out there that might be more than that, but I was like, yeah, we're talking about 25 years ago. And anybody know how much a Lamborghini Countach costs right now? I mean, you're lucky if you can find one for 500,000-600,000, but most of them, the ones that are still in good shape, are over $1 million. So that would have been a 10x over the last 20 years. That car would have went up in value. Same thing with lots of Ferraris and Porsches. I did have a Porsche 911 twin turbo because I could afford that. That was like 30 grand back then. I sold that.
It's just a bucket of bolts, man.
Yeah. Well, no, the Porsche 911 I sold for 40 grand. And that same car, the same exact one, not a new one, not anything, but the same one. It was a 1995 911 twin turbo. I sold for 40 grand, is 450,000 right now. Some things just keep going up in value because they're rare, because they didn't make so many of them, whatever the case may be. But you guys and we, all of us right now, have an opportunity to buy something before mass adoption, and guys, and I'm saying this for this reason. These calls that we do every week are not just to pump you up and inspire you and talk about, I know, you know, we do trade obviously, but I want all of you to get rich. I'd rather have a testimonial 2 years from now that someone says, yeah, I paid $4,000 for this coaching program, and I lost on a couple trades, but one thing they told me to do was buy XRP, and that made me $3 million. That's what I want to hear. Because I don't care if you just tune into these calls and never trade at all, and just come to listen to me talk, and just keep buying XRP and Ethereum, and I guarantee you guys are going to get rich if you just keep accumulating that stuff. That's my soapbox talk today. So
thanks, Nico.
You're welcome. Oh, I believe in it. And could I be wrong? Sure. But I still don't think it's gonna, even if it doesn't go to $1,000 or $10,000, I still think it's going to be in them high double digits and triple digits in the near future. And that enough could make you rich. But man, if we just break through that to the 250, 500 range, and why wouldn't it? $1,000 range. Now we're talking 30, 40, 50 million instead of 2 million, 20 million, 40 million, 50 million dollars worth for that same amount of same quantity, 20,000 Bitcoin, 20,000 XRP. And now you've got different problems. The kind you want, I think, but still different problems. Let's see. What else? Anybody have any questions about anything? No, I mean, obviously crypto is moving really slow. This is the season, holiday season, but we do have this is the positive thing right now. We do have a slight breakout of this downward trending channel, which we've been in since October. I mean, we hit the all-time high of 126 in October 25th. So 2 months downward trending. And we might be breaking out right now, finally, after retesting major support here, which would be considered possibly a double bottom. If we look at the daily and we go back and look at this, boom, boom, before a big breakout. It also could be looking like upward trending. So if we take this line, I'm going to change the color of it so you can see it. If we take this line and go upward trending, we just hit it here. Could we double? Could we hit it again? Yeah. We could break through and actually hit it again. But I think that actually I might not even have that in the right spot. We might have just hit it. That actually looks more accurate right there. We had a little bit of support and resistance right there. Resistance, resistance, resistance. Boom, wick down to the previous support, but we held above this line and then we hit it again here and we are breaking out. So in the short term, I think we will see another pump in Bitcoin and everything else. The question is will it be a higher high before the year's end? We got 2 weeks. We could see it. Now, we could see a pump up into the 90s, which would create some buying pressure momentum. There will be a lot of people that get excited. More money will start coming in. People will start talking about this breakout. All the pros and all the people that don't understand anything, they're just going to start buying, and that could pump the price up. But is it going to get back up to here, 110, 115, 120? Is that going to happen again in this bull market? Or are we going to have just a little pump and then consolidate sideways? Maybe look like this, where we pump up and then come back down to retest this and then try again and then fall, creating another little double top and pretty much a mirror image of this side and a big head and shoulder, which would then bring us right to here. So let's just say that happened, guys. We break out. We start to climb. We hit this. We come down. We pull back. We hit this as resistance, support. We come back up, hit this as resistance, come back down, and then we hit this line, the upward trending support, right there, where it also happens to be hitting this overall upward trending support going all the way back from the beginning. We break through, and then that would be bear market. And we could potentially drop down into the 40s or 50s. Is that possible? Yes. Maybe we don't go that far. Maybe we just go to 60 right here. And that's a scenario. So the other scenario is we do this, what I just said, and we come down and we bounce on this. And that is the low. 80 was the low in the bear market. We finally break here, 80, we break out, we retest it one more time, and then we start to climb. And then that is the bottom. And then we're on our way to a new all-time high in the next bull market. Maybe the time frames of bear markets, bull markets are shorter. But so far throughout history, it's been 3 years up, 1 year down. 3 years up, 1 year down, and we have not been in 1 year. 1 year from this top right here would be October of 2026. That would be the 1 year mark.
Hey Nico,
Yes.
can you look at the MACD on the weekly and the monthly and let me know what you think? Your analysis on that.
MACD. Well, I mean, we have on the RSI, we have the blue line cross the orange line to the downside, and we're way down here. We have money flowing out from the all-time highs, and then really started to drop, coming down into this falling wedge that I was just talking about right there. Just look at the dotted line. When I hold my mouse down here, look at the dotted line up, going straight up, hitting the top, and then dropping all the way down to that 80K right there. Boom, that bottom right here. And then money flowing back out, which is bullish. And we are coming up and maybe breaking out. If we break out, we'll see this. It'll look just like this. But the weird part is that we had an all-time high. Look at the money flowing out here. It's green. We hit that all-time high, and then we come down. And we had another all-time high. We had a double top right here at the bottom. So the price was going up when this was going down. That's bearish divergence a little bit. And then we go into this, and then we, as you can see, when the money flow starts coming back in and it turns from red to pink, that's when we broke out. And that's kind of what's happening here. But that RSI is showing something very different. We need this blue line to cross back up above the orange line. And it does look like it's starting to curve down here. But so
Yeah, I was trying to compare it to like 21 and 17 too, just to see
it is much lower than normal. It's just weird because it's acting differently than previous times when we're this low. Let me change this from the MACD to something that I think might even be more accurate and helpful, which is just the RSI, the stochastic RSI, and the regular RSI. So on the stochastic RSI, we do have a blue line crossing the orange line to the upside, which is right where we bounced here at the 80K. And it did get above the orange line. And then up here, we hit the top of the downward trending channel and then dropped a little bit. And right now it's trying, you can see it. If I zoom in there, it's right. I mean, it literally crossed below the orange line, but it's kind of right on top of it, trying to curve back to the upside. Like this. And in the same spot. Look at that. Look at that. In the same spot. Oh my goodness. Glad I looked at this. Look at this. Right there. Right here, rather. We have the orange line, a blue line cross the orange line to the upside after hitting the bottom, coming up to the top of the downward trending channel. And then it looks like it's coming back down and hitting the orange line right there and bouncing on it before the breakout. If I take this over, we are in that same spot. Look at that. We have the dip below, which is when we came down from the top of the falling wedge. Dip below it. We come back above. Orange line is crossing the orange, blue line is crossing the orange line and kind of just hovering on it. Same thing is happening right here. We came back below from the top. This was a much lower high than here, though, than here. Which this being so much lower kind of makes me feel like this might have been the top. But doesn't mean we can't pump back up. So if the blue line curves up, if we have this breakout right here, where can we go? We can go up to somewhere up in here. But if we have a continuous lower high situation, that could be it. But if we come up to right about here, or we even get into this zone right here, but we can't get higher than here, then that would be like us going up, and on this is the weekly time frame, that would be us going up and hitting this ribbon and retesting the underneath of this EMA ribbon and not being able to get through it at 100K. And this would look like this. And then more this. So it would be kind of a downward trending on the RSI. And we would just fall, and that would just be probably the right shoulder of the overall head and shoulders. Now, if you just look at the regular RSI without the stochastic RSI, we still have major bearish divergence that's been happening all the way since back here. Downward trending lower highs in the RSI, while simultaneously higher highs on the price. We've already come down to the floor, and we went through it. And the only time that usually happens, where we have a high, lower high, and lower highs, is bearish divergence. When we had the high, we were here at 41K. This is the last bull market. Then we had a higher high and then a higher high. So we had prices going up, RSI going down, and right here, upward trending, bounce on the upward trending and did not make a higher high, came back down, fell through, beginning of the bear market when we get underneath this level. And right here, very similarly, I mean, almost identically, we come down, we bounce, we got under. This is where we're at right here. We got under it right here on this bounce, right here on this bounce, boom. We got under it, under this line, the floor, under this line, the floor. And we can come up and retest it, which is like bouncing, which is this bounce right here. We came up a little bit. We need to break through. And then if we break through, which is very similar to this falling wedge back here, where we broke through, and look at that, we got back above the EMA ribbon briefly. If we can do that, it would be very similar. Head and shoulder. That would be equivalent to us bouncing where we're at right now, breaking out of the downward trending resistance and going up to right above the EMA to about 104, 105, and then falling back down. And if that happens, guys, that could be the beginning of the end of this bull market, and it would look like this: come up, come back down, and then fall through. That would be almost identical to this situation in the last bull market. And by the way, this bearish divergence only has happened twice in Bitcoin's history. And before this, two times prior than this, and both was the beginning of the bear market. So it's very difficult to not look at the history of the price action and say that this time is different until it's different, because I want to believe it's different. I want to see some kind of major catalyst, something bring us out of this. And it is possible. This is what would have to happen. This would have to come back up above that floor, just like it did here, back up above the floor. But instead of hitting this downward trending line, instead of hitting this downward trending line and then falling into a bear market, it would have to break out and get higher than the previous high and hold that as support and get higher than that previous high. And that would be different for sure. But what is the likelihood of that happening is the question that I don't actually have the answer to, other than I can only go back and look at history. And this floor, the thing we're under right now, guys, is very difficult to get back above. And even if we do, which we can, and I think we might, then we have a major downward trending resistance to get through, which only if we get through that will we have a higher high in this bull market. Because if we don't get through this downward trending line on the RSI, on the weekly time frame, we're already below the floor. We got to get back above the floor first, this white line. And if you go back and look how often that happens after, when you go back and look and see all the bear markets, how often that has happened where we got below the floor and popped back up. It was still the beginning of the end. We got below the floor right here, popped back up, did not make a higher high, and then fell. That was the bear market. Fell. Then even here, we got back above, bull market, bullish, and then we come down below the floor. We got back up right here, but we did not make a higher high, and then fell back below the floor. That was huge. That was when we dropped down to 3,500. So right here, this is the floor. We are below it. And nothing I'm telling you guys is my opinion. This is facts. We are below the floor on the weekly time frame, the RSI. We are below that yellow line, which is the moving average. So everything is kind of bearish right now. And we were at the bottom of this falling wedge. And we're trying to break out, but we haven't yet. So until that happens, we could just, here's really all that can possibly happen. This cannot get back above the floor, and we just fall further into bear market territory. What would happen? What would it look like on the price? Is that we cannot break out of the downward trending channel, and we just fall further from here. Back to the bottom of this. Just continuation of the downward trending channel. That can happen. That would be a double bottom of this level down here at the 73.5, 74 range. And the other option is we get above this floor. And then that is the breakout. We get above the floor, back up into this channel, and we pump up to the top here. And that could be a break. That would be a breakout of, let me just get rid of some of these lines and redrum. That would be a breakout of the downward trending channel that we're trying to break out of right now. And a pump all the way up to maybe between 100 and 105 or even higher. Could go to 110, but it would need to get above this 114, 115 level. And then that could bring us all the way up to here on the RSI. It literally would just be another lower high. And we could go up that high and still make a lower high on the price. However, if we pump all the way to 115 and we're above this line and we're way up here on the RSI, that's a great sign. That means that we're no longer in bearish divergence and we kind of broke out of this downward trend on the RSI. But I have a feeling that we could pump all the way up to 115 and still stay below this line, because let's just look at here. When we came out of this falling way, or this bull flag here, we went from 73 all the way down to 49K, hit the bottom of the floor, and we pumped all the way up. Look at this huge parabolic move to the upside, all the way up to 108, and we still didn't make a higher high on the RSI. And then we come all the way down to 73 and pump even higher up to 126. Come down to 73 and pump all the way up to 123, 24, 25, 26. Look at all of these highs. 112, 123, 124, 126, all lower highs here. And so I'm not trying to be negative at all. I'm just showing you what I'm seeing. If we get above this floor and pump, we could see a nice big pump up to 100 to 105, maybe even 110, getting above the EMA ribbons on the weekly. But if we cannot hold and it comes back down, if we cannot get through this and it comes back down, that's when I'm shorting. Like I'm going to say that's beginning of bear market right there. So it looked like this. We were below the EMA ribbons. We retested underneath. We popped above it for a minute, fell back to the upward trending support and fell through. That was the beginning of the bear market. We're below the EMA ribbons. We're holding as resistance. We're holding as support in the upward trend line. Boom, we bounce. We could get through it and come back down. And if we break through this, to me, that's just beginning of the bear market. And that could happen for the next few months. We could have some decoupling. We could have altcoin season happen then. We could see XRP and all these other ones break out. And I hope that happens. Bitcoin would just go into its little normal funk. And that would be a continuation of the market cycle history that we've been seeing for the last 10 years, which a lot of people think is over, including Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor thinks this is the bottom. And then it's all up from here. Is the guy right? Does anybody know Michael Saylor's history? Is he always right?
Nope.
Not even close. Before he was Bitcoin, guys, before he was the Bitcoin guy, does anybody know how many companies he ran to the ground? He's a smart guy, don't get me wrong. He's single-handedly holding Bitcoin up right now. But he's taking the biggest gamble, the biggest risk over everybody else on the planet when it comes to Bitcoin. And his conviction and his belief and his business savvy, and he is a smart businessman. Don't get me wrong, he makes billions, but he has bet the farm before and it didn't work out. But I'm not saying that to say anything bad about Bitcoin or Michael Saylor. I'm saying that it's going to take more than him to get this price up. He can't hold it up forever. The retail market has to come in. Mass adoption has to come in. And the only thing I see getting ready to be mass adopted is the financial settlement of the entire financial network, and the reverse carry trade unraveling in Japan right now is a catalyst to help bring that to fruition faster than I see Bitcoin going up. Bitcoin as a store of wealth, Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation, Bitcoin as the digital gold, yes. But XRP to the rescue, in my opinion. XRP and Ethereum, and the reason Ethereum is because the Ethereum mainnet has many use case scenarios and a lot of adoption happening behind the scenes, because they actually provide a service and they actually help solve problems because of smart contracts. Whereas Bitcoin is not. It just doesn't do that. So Bitcoin will hit $1 million someday, yes, and maybe more. But you would need to already have a Bitcoin or two or more for that to really make a big difference for you. Because if you only got $5,000 worth of Bitcoin or $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin goes to $1 million, that's a 10x. Okay, so you got $5,000 of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin goes to $1 million over the next 10 years or 5 years or however. You just turned your $5,000 into $50,000, which is probably the equivalent to having $5,000 today with inflation. So I'm not saying not to have any. I'm just saying that the bigger return on your investment would to have been buying Bitcoin when it was $3. That would have been the best time to accumulate a bunch of it. And the only other opportunity I see you have right now to do that is with XRP. You can't even buy Ethereum at $3. It's already $2,000 or $3,000. But you can buy Ethereum, which will be $2,000 or $3,000 someday. I mean, XRP. So you got to just deduce all of these options and think, what is your best move? It's like playing chess, guys. You got to get ahead of it And you got to think, should you convert all your crypto into XRP? Should you take money off the table? Like if you did buy Bitcoin down here at 15.5, let's say you bought one Bitcoin down here at 15.5, you got an 8X out of it. Should you hold that? Or should you roll that into the next smart move that could 100X from here? Because Bitcoin, if Bitcoin comes down into a bear market all the way down to 60 or 70K, your 8X is going to turn into 5X. Now you hold it, no problem. Hold it, and it goes up to 200, 300, 400 in the coming bull market next, in 2027, 28, 29. But what is XRP going to be worth by then? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you, but I have a feeling it's going to have a multiplier much higher than Bitcoin will. Bitcoin could 2X from where it's at right now. If Bitcoin goes down to 60K and then it 2Xs, it's just right back up to 130. It's right back up to here. But if XRP 10Xs or 20Xs in that same time frame, and you can buy a shit ton more of it for a much lower price, you will stand to gain a lot more on XRP. That's all I'm saying. You got to use your brain here. It's like it's common sense to me. But I like Bitcoin. I want to have a lot of it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying we only live so long, right? We don't have time to wait 20 years for Bitcoin to hit $10 million. Some of us do, and I hope it does. I still will have a lot of it by then. But in the meantime, I got to move some assets around to get the most bang for the most buck. I'm going to take my chances more on XRP. And even Ethereum, I do have some Ethereum, but I don't have nearly as much Ethereum as I can afford XRP right now because of the price. And Chad, for instance, is a big fan of Ethereum. If we go and Chad just made a post yesterday about Ethereum and some of its adoption that's happening. JP Morgan debuts first money market fund, the tokenizing on Ethereum technology. JP is the front runner for bringing institutional RWAs to the ERC 20, of which we'll start to see several others follow suit. So yeah, I mean, that's going to happen. We got basically huge institutions pouring billions into both Ethereum, XRP, XLM, HBAR, all these different things that we talk about as ISO 20022 tokens are going to have ETFs, and billions will flow into them. So I would say XRP, XLM, HBAR, Link, Chainlink, Solana. Those are the main ones, guys. Those are the ones that are going to stand the test of time, Ethereum and Bitcoin. So those are the ones you need to accumulate as much as possible on.
Hey, Nico, I'll just say, I mean, like you always say, history repeats itself. I'm a big fan of history and things like that. If you look at Binance back in 2017, I remember it was like $3, and for some reason, it was like December or whatever it was. I'm like, I should just buy 1,000 tokens of this, and I got busy with holidays and everything else. But if you look at that chart, like within a year, it was like $30, but then within 3 years, like 2018 to 2021, the beginning, I mean, literally almost just like 3 years, it was 350. And then, and I was accumulating it, back, when it was under 200, I was accumulating ETH and even Bitcoin. But like I said, it just shows you what XRP, and that's just Binance, it's just an exchange. So the potential with XRP is the same, where it might take 3 years, but even just jumping to 30 over the next year or two, but because XRP and collateral, the way they're using it, like that video you showed with that woman talking about collateral and everything else, it's gonna, like everything else, just look at how things were up to COVID, and everything is just exponential. Time just seems to be flying by. AI and all these things are just accelerating at a ridiculous pace. So it's not going to be the same as 2017 for it to be incorporated in
No.
200-300.
Yeah, Yeah, good point. And by the way, guys, I mean, XRP has been around since 2013. It's been around for a long time. That's why people are getting fed up. They're like, yeah, it's taking too long. Oh, it's never going anywhere. But what they're not considering, most people who say that, is that it was under litigation. It was frozen because of the SEC lawsuits for a decade. While Bitcoin had its day in the sun to run up, XRP was kind of hindered. But behind the scenes, while all that was happening, probably intentionally, probably without you knowing and realizing it, was all stall tactic so that they can get set up, so that people can get discouraged, so that people start selling, so that they can accumulate more because they knew what was coming. Because Ripple and Garling, all of these people that are involved were in works and contracting with major institutions, banks, and governments, even during that whole time. How could that be if the SEC was not going to allow them to continue? Because it was all probably part of the whole deal. But here's where XRP is right now at the $1.90. So this is Bitcoin right here. Imagine. And look at all this, guys. I mean, look at these. Even before Bitcoin got to $1.90. And this is kind of what I was saying a minute ago. Look at here. If XRP pumps from right here, $1.90 up to $33. That's what Bitcoin did. Look at that. It went from $1.90 to 33 bucks. And look at this pullback all the way back to $1 to $2. Bitcoin went from $1.90 to 30 bucks and came slowly all the way back to $2. Now, how many people do you think bought at $1.90, didn't sell at 30, and then got very pissed off because they thought, oh shit, it's coming back down. I'm going to get out. Boom, they get out because this is what most people do. They don't take profits or they get scared because they think they're losing money. And then boom, all it did was bounce and then went to 7. Just picture this with XRP going to 7, pulling back to 4, going to 15, pulling back to 7, going to $255, pulling all the way back to $50. That's how it works. Going up to $1,203, pulling all the way back down to 160, double bottoming at 160, and then going all the way up to $20,000. Guys, some of you are not going to have the stomach for this. I'm going to tell you right now. Because this is what's going to happen. We're going to go to $7. We're going to go to $30. We're going to go to $200. But we're going to have these huge pullbacks, huge consolidations. Now, maybe not back all the way down. And some people might say that's not even going to happen because the difference between Bitcoin and XRP is XRP can't go down because it's going to be a need to stay at a constant price in order to handle the volume of transactions, whereas Bitcoin was totally speculative and going up and down with the wind, wasn't being used for anything. But so I don't think we're going to have these huge pullbacks. I think when we get to $30, it's going to stay, and then it might go to $250 and stay, and then it might go to $1,160 as derivatives and other institutions start using it for the same thing. And then from there, it's just going to go up to 20,000 or whatever without all the huge drawdowns. That's my philosophy. But man, I just know. I'm going to even kick myself. I have a lot of it. I'm going to kick myself for not buying more. Because I might be sitting on, $60 million with XRP if it hits $1,000 or more, $500 or more. And I'm going to say, shit, if I was just smarter back when it was $1.90, I could be a billionaire right now. Don't have regret. Some of us will never be satisfied no matter how much we make, but at the same time, you guys can control that right now. And of course, the illustration I just gave was XRP doing the same thing that Bitcoin. Excuse me, I got the hiccups all of a sudden. XRP doing the same thing that Bitcoin did, which it may not. It could just shoot up to $100 from here and never come back down. Yep, Keith, discipline and patience. Pilar, I've read in a few places that banks, hedge funds, governments are buying XRP to hold in reserve. Since mid-November, US XRP ETFs inflows amassed over 1 billion and absorbed nearly 1% of XRP circulating supply. Exchanges balances also fell from 3.9 billion to 2.6 billion XRP over 60 days through early December, a 45% decline in XRP exchange supply. Yeah, most people don't realize this because they're buying 10 XRP, 20 XRP, $5 worth of XRP. They don't realize that hundreds of millions of dollars worth of XRP is evaporating from the exchanges every day from big players. That's supply shock. It's going to be supply shock like you've never seen. One of these days, you're going to see XRP go to $6, $7, $10, and you're going to finally, somebody you know is going to finally say, oh shit, I better buy this. And they're going to go to buy it, and they're not going to be able to. Those of us that already have accumulated before that supply shock happens will be the winners. Everyone else will just envy you for the rest of your life that you were smart enough to do that. It will be too late for the masses. And it will be probably the last opportunity of our lifetime that regular people could get super rich by just front running the governments and the institutions by just buying something that's currently cheap. Anyway, that's my take on that.
Can I comment on that, Nico?
Yes.
I think that XRP is going to see multiple pumps. The first few are going to be mistaken for the real pump, but it's all going to be speculation. There's a new law, there's a new bank, there's a new country, there's a new company, and it's all going to be speculation until the real utility kicks in, and it's going to be the blink of an eye. You're going to go to bed and Japan's stock market is going to have pumped XRP to the moon.
Yeah, I agree. And Japan is currently buying XRP in droves right now because of their reverse carry trade unwind. They have to reinvest money as well. And money is going to flow, guys. I mean, could we see XRP drop to $1 before all this happens? Yeah, it's possible.
Great buying opportunity.
Oh my God, it'll be insane. Some of you will freak out and say, "Oh, it's not going to happen. That's it." They're just no. What that is a shakeout. That's shaking out all the weak hands. That's institutions, guys, selling from one pocket to buy back into another pocket. That's all the people that borrowed hundreds of millions of dollars from Japan with zero interest, now needing to sell their crypto and their stocks in order to pay back those loans so they can get out of that reverse carry trade. And that will cause a temporary dump in everything. The stock market, crypto markets, everything. Temporary, very temporary. Because from there, it'll be parabolic and hyperbolic. Don't be shaken out, Cindy. Yep. No one in this group will be allowing themselves to be shaken out. Well, I wouldn't say that, guys. We do have some people in this group that I get on one-on-one calls with every once in a while that are about to sell because they're chewing their nails off because they bought something higher than the current price and they can't stand to watch the value of it go down and they want to get out. And they just want a reassurance or my opinion. I can't tell anybody what to do, guys. I mean, I will speak about my ex-girlfriend a few years back who I told her she had some money from a settlement that she had. And I told her she didn't want to day trade. She didn't want to look at charts. She didn't want to do all this stuff. So I told her to open up an account on crypto.com. It wasn't even Coinbase. It's crypto.com. And I've told you guys this strategy before. And so I told her, I said, on crypto.com, they show you the recent pumps, the cryptos that are having the highest moves for the day. If you log into your app, you'll see that it literally shows you the biggest gainers for the day, right? I think Coinbase does too, but shows you the biggest gainers, the biggest losers for the day. And so I told her, I said, when you wake up in the morning, keep the crypto in like USDT. And when you wake up in the morning and you see a big gainer for the day or something is pumping, buy it and then wait till the end of the day and get out. Because here's what was happening. People were logging into their app, and I don't know if this strategy still works or not, but it really worked in the last bull market. People were logging into their app and they would see biggest gainer for the day, lollipop token. I mean, they were just crazy tokens, right? No one even knew what they were. And it was up 80% that day. So I told her, I said, when you do this early in the morning, you'll see that it's up 20, 30%. It's the biggest gainer of the day, up 20, 30%. I said, throughout the day, it's going to pump higher. Then it's going to sell off and it's not going to be the biggest gainer of the day anymore. Something else will be the next morning and you need to move into that. So what was happening is as people logged into the app and looked to see the biggest gainers of the day, they all got FOMO and they jumped in. And so when they jumped in, the price pumped and I told her to get out. But it's still, and she still was in that mindset. She still had the normal human mindset where it's like, well, it's going up. I want to stay in. No, get out. And she made the mistake of not listening to me a few times. And as soon as she decided to stay in, it turned on her and started to go down. And she's like, oh, I should have listened to you. Because nothing continues to pump forever. They have these huge pumps, these huge spikes, and then they dump. And so she turned like $30,000 or $40,000 into $220,000 by the end of the bull market. Just buying and then selling, buying and then selling, buying and selling. She didn't day trade. She didn't do anything. She just bought. And when it pumped up, she got out. Now she's sitting on $220,000 and she moved that. And she asked me what she should do. And I said, well, this is probably the bull market top. We will probably go into a bear market. It's going to go down. And then she didn't want to, she couldn't fathom the idea because everything went up so much in the bull market. This was her first bull market. She didn't understand market cycles. We broke up for other reasons. And then she stayed in all of those coins that she had. She had a lot of different ones. And then she moved things into Bitcoin and some of the other stuff. And then the price went down from 68K all the way down to 15.5. Her portfolio went all the way down from 200,000 back to where she started, like 40,000. She got scared and sold everything and said, screw this crypto stuff. It's too stressful. And then she texted me like, I don't know, a year later telling me that she lost so much in crypto. I said, what do you mean? You were up 5x. What do you mean you lost? Oh, well, when it dumped down in the bear market, I sold everything. I'm like, what? I told you not to sell ever. Because you're not trading, you need to hold for the long term. She goes, well, I needed money. And today, guys, if she would have kept that Bitcoin that she had, if she would have kept the crypto that she had and rode out the bear market, it 8x from 15.5, she would have been back up to 4, 5, 600,000.
Nico,
And so, yeah.
go ahead with that thought.
No, it's okay. I think I made the point. Go ahead.
Okay. About a month and a half, 2 months ago, you and Bill addressed this chart that was the color of beige that showed, I can't remember how many tens of or how many decades it went back, but it's a prediction about what's going to happen in 2026.
The Benner
And I was
cycle. I'll go
wondering,
grab it.
Yeah, let me pull it up.
and I don't know what your thinking is now pertaining to today's market.
Yeah, that thing is pretty accurate. That's, I believe, 100, 200 years old. Where is it built? I know we have it somewhere. Let me
I'm
go in here.
posting the link in the Zoom chat right now. It's in the
Oh.
FAQs, but there it is
Okay.
in the Zoom chat. So this breaks it all down. I had the GPT run it and break it all down for us.
Okay. So everybody can see this okay? So years in which panics have occurred and will occur again. A, 1927, 1945, 1965, 1981, 1999, 2019, 2035. Okay, so where are we now? We're here at 2026, which is B. Years of good times, high prices, and the time to sell stocks and values of all kinds. This was created before crypto existed. This is time to get out. From 2023, guys, I mean, look at this. This was the bear market bottom of crypto, and this is the top right here going into 2026. Possibly, maybe we're right here and we could go up a little further into 2026. Maybe we're right here at 126 on Bitcoin and we can go up more. I don't know, but this is general. It's not detailed, but and then C, years of hard times, low prices, and a good time to buy stocks, corner lots, goods, etc., and hold till the bottom, till the boom reaches the year of good times, then unload.
Two follow-up questions. Bill, could you post that in the chat? And two, second thought is, how does this relate to, I believe her name was Stephanie, the lady that you put in the Discord, and her predictions of XRP for next year, possibly getting up to $100. How does this chart relate to that?
Well, this chart was created, I just posted the image in the chat. I mean, the link that Bill posted will take you to it in Discord, but there's the actual image if you want to copy and paste that, save that to your PC, guys. But this was created in 1875. So it doesn't correlate or have anything to do with XRP specifically. And I'm sure during some of these downturns, some people made a fortune in other things, right? That they had inside information on. There were people that made a lot of money down here when people were struggling in recessions and bear markets. And so the way I would look at that is that some of us are going to get super rich here in 2026. And this, by the way, it just says 2026. It doesn't say till the end of 2026, because from 2026 to all the way to 2032, that's a 6-year period from 2026 down, right? So does that mean that during the next 6 years between this coming year all the way to 2026, we're just going to be going down? Or does that mean that we're going to still go up to the end of 2026 before going down? So I don't know. I think XRP could have its massive run up in 2026, create a lot of wealth for a lot of people. And, but that's just one investment opportunity out of thousands of potential ideas and opportunities out there where most people will not be involved in. This is the economy in general that they're talking about here. Let's see. So I can't answer that. I have no idea how this chart correlates with XRP other than timing, but maybe by 2034, 2035.
Thank you.
Not good. This is good times. This is supposed to be bad times. So maybe the next 5 years or so. I'm trying to understand these numbers here. Let me just look at this for a second. So we got 2023. I don't know what this 3 and 6 is for. Is that 3 months, 6 months? I'm not 3 years, 6 years. Yeah, 3 years up, 6 years down. That's what that is. 3 up, 6 down, 2 up, 5 down, 4 up, 7 down. So they are breaking the ups and the downs into actual year timeframes. Again, guys, all you got to do, but now let's just go and look at history. Why is this accurate? Well, go look at history.
Those are business cycles, kind of like we got out of like since 2007, 2008 with the Fed manipulating money. I mean,
Yeah.
we've always had business cycles that are pretty accurate. And ever since then, they manipulated the markets with the Fed and with printing money. And so that's what that is, those business cycles, those little numbers.
Yeah. And so look at this. This was the real estate crash in 2007, 2008. Time to sell. Imagine if I would have sold in 2007 instead of bought. I was buying real estate during that time, right before the crash. I didn't know any better. Pretty interesting, to say the least.
That's pinned in trade chat now. In case anybody wants to see it again, it's pinned in trade chat.
Yeah. But it's in the help desk, guys, also.
Well, I don't have it in help desk. I just pinned it in
not
trade
help desk,
chat.
I'm sorry. Wherever you just shared it.
In the main chat, in trade chat.
In the main chat. And I shared the image in the chat as well, in the Zoom chat, so you guys can just print it or copy it, paste it, or save it to your computer. Keith, sellers of shovels and picks were more profitable than gold diggers. Yep. The people cross the country on foot and on horse and buggy and carriage to get to the gold rush in California. Many died along the way. The people who made the most money were the ones selling the picks and the shovels. So imagine, instead of investing in gold or trying to dig for gold, which what a lot of people are doing here, you just invest in the companies that's providing the solution. XRP. XRP, Ethereum, Solana, Chainlink, XLM, they all provide very similar services. I think XRP will be the front runner in this big race to the top. And I kind of believe that, okay, yes, you should diversify. I do have a lot of each of those, but nowhere near as much as I have XRP, because if XRP does what it can do and what people think it will do and what I think it will do, then I won't really care about all the other ones. Oi asked, Nico, is the promo deal for the nodes still on? What the minimum for one node? I believe it's $1,000 per node. And I just also want to make a blanket statement here, guys. I am not out there promoting the nodes. I do not have an affiliate link for the nodes. I am not an ambassador for the nodes. I don't get a commission when you buy the nodes. I just brought my friend who's a node expert who makes a lot of money with nodes onto a call about a month ago, and he explained it. And he made an opportunity available to everyone in the group that if you buy 10 or more, you get buy one, get one free. Now, as far as that's still going on or not, he said that he didn't give me an exact date. He just said he will continue to push it if people want it, but he would continue to push it through for the buy one, get one freeze as long as he could. I did text him. I know he had like a surgery scheduled. I haven't heard from him in a few days. Let me just text him now. But guys, just keep in mind that that is a risky investment as well, because we don't know if Optio token is going to do what they plan. Everybody has a plan for their own company business, right? The people behind Optio have big things in the works. They have hundreds of millions of dollars behind them as well. They have billionaires that are involved. They got big companies and big platforms that are all getting involved. So there is a huge upside potential for it, but there's no guarantee. I just want to be clear that I took a risk. I bought 10. I got 10 free. So I don't want anybody coming back to me and saying, "Oh, you promised me." I didn't promise anything.
I bought 10 there on Saturday evening, Nico, and the code still worked.
Oh, it does good. You got 20?
Yeah, I got 20.
Okay, good. I just texted him asking him. He hasn't responded yet, but yeah. Strategic partners is key though. Yeah, and they have some very good strategic partners on that. So I'm optimistic for it. I wouldn't have done it. I'm not going to spend 10 grand on something I don't think has the potential to be huge, but I'm still more optimistic. And by the way, Billy's not that optimistic on XRP because he's kind of not paying attention to any of that stuff. He's done so well with the nodes, he doesn't care about all the other cryptos. But so, if you were to ask him his opinion, he would say buy more nodes. If you ask me, I would say if all you have is $1,000 to buy either nodes or XRPs, I would buy XRP personally. But if you can do both, do both. And don't worry if you can't do it right now, because there's going to be more opportunities. There's going to be other node opportunities coming, and he's going to let me know when there is a good one that he believes in, and I will share that with you guys as well. But he likes to stick. And by the way, anybody can go Google nodes and go buy nodes for various different cryptos out there. But the reason why I would probably lean towards the one he's interested in is because he's in with the parent companies that have a proven track record of being in the node arena and bringing some of these cryptos to mainstream, getting them to be listed on major exchanges. The people that brought Gala and Stitch or Switch, I can't remember which one, Element, all these other ones, they are huge parent companies that have a history of taking tokens and bringing them to the major exchanges. And that is where if you just get on an ICO on some pump and dump, you have no idea who's behind it or what's going on. I'd rather invest in the nodes with a company that has hundreds of millions behind them and big players behind them, because they're not going to risk their tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars on something they don't believe in, that they don't think they can make work. So I would rather take a chance with them rather than any other node opportunity. He just said yes. He's pushing it through each time.
Hey, Nico, like I said, I did that on Saturday afternoon. That's not a typical work day. Would there be a little more lag time because I did that on a weekend?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I think that they're manually being added, and they're manually right now. I think they have someone manually, I don't know what's manual about it. I mean, it shouldn't be, but I think that's what I heard, that give it a few days, business days to show as active, or it might say pending right now. Let me just go look. Like also, you want to make sure that your nodes are still showing as active. I check this every once in a while, you know, just to make sure this says 20 active, because if it says 10 active, it says you have 20 licenses, but only 10 active, or 20 licenses and 18 active, that means 2 are not running. That's when you want to contact support, or you want to refresh. Only, but I've not had that happen yet, but I do know on my Element token, there was a time when my node server was down and my nodes were not active for a couple days, and I had to let somebody know, and they fixed it right away. But I haven't seen that with this yet. So, but I would still check every once in a while to make sure that they're active. And you'll know when they're active because when you log into your Kyvo wallet, you will see that your distribution sometimes this
On my simple account there, Nico, I've got the 20 active, but the licenses are still at 0. I'm assuming that takes time.
0 where in
On
this
the
simple server.
Yeah,
Or no?
server Optio licenses that is at 0, but the active nodes are at 20.
And you just did this on Saturday, you said?
Just did it on Saturday, yeah.
So in here, it says 20 licenses.
0 there, and to the right is 20, and also 20 on the plan.
Huh. That's interesting. When you go into Kyvo, you set up your Kyvo?
Yeah, I got the Kyvo set up as well.
Does it show anything pending
No.
in distribution?
Nothing there either. No.
So here's what it looks like. It would look like this: pending, meaning the nodes are active and they're. Does your node say active? Your 20 nodes?
Let me just log into Kyvo real quick. But I don't have any.
You said they say active here though on the simple server.
That's correct. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so if they're active, then on Kyvo, you should start to see pending rewards, but that does take a few days. That can take up to a week. It's taken some people like 10 days for them to start seeing in here, and they will look like this: pending. It'll be down here, but then one will go distributed, and then you'll see your balance go up by a little bit. And then the next one will go distributed. And the next one, these 3 will say pending. And then the next one will go distributed. And the next one will say pending, and so on and so forth. So there's always going to be a few days behind where they're pending.
Yeah, when I went into distribution, that whole area is empty.
Okay. Yeah, Billy just texted saying 10 or more, he can still get them to slide through. So yes, as far as the buy one, get one free. So yeah, just give it a little time because this took a while for this to show up in Kyvo for me, and I think everybody else in here. Some people 3 or 4 days, some people 7, 8 days. But as long as it's active, definitely refresh your simple server because you got to see the licenses. But if you just did it on Saturday, it could take. Today's only Monday, so that's not even one business day yet. So yeah, definitely just keep an eye on it. But you're in the right direction, and they're showing. At least you got them showing in there as active, which is good. You purchased them. It does take. Let's just say give it a week before they start seeing distribution in here.
Okay. Thank you, Nico.
Yes, sir. Good luck. So yeah, so I mean, I have 49,000 tokens since when did we start here? December 1st. So we're talking about 22 days now, 3 weeks. Because I bought 10 and got 10, so this is 20 nodes working. I don't have anything staked right now myself. No reason why. I just didn't really want to tie anything up yet. I want to see how things work and things go forward first. If you want to stake, you just go to where is it? Assets. click on your assets, and then right here, you can say stake and lock, send, receive. If you want to cash anything out, you can send it over to, there's certain platforms. I think it's coin something. I can't remember which one. Or somebody else in here would know because I just haven't done it yet. I'm not worried about selling them anytime soon. But let's see, what do we got? We're up, current price is 0.004. We went all the way up to like, what, 6 or 8 cents, something like that for a minute, came back down a little bit, but $181 back from my 10,000. It's going to take a while for that for me to break even there, unless all of a sudden we have a big spike to the upside. Yeah, we went up to like 8 cents right here, which was double. It's come down back a little bit, but you know, that happens. We're going to see some ups and downs along the way. Nothing for you to be panicked about. This is a longer term hold. When I say long term, I don't mean years, but could be a year before, if this thing gets to, I don't know, a penny, 10 cents, and let's say it takes a year, that would be about 876,000 tokens times 10 cents. That would be $87,600 worth. Not bad. All right, guys. Right now, the onboarding is starting with Bill. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. Bill just put the link in the Zoom chat right here. If you're brand new, you want to get on that. If you've been on one before, get on another one. It's better to just hear it repeatedly a couple times before you really, so that you really understand what you should do, what you should be doing. I do have a real estate call with my property manager. I got to get on here too. So let's just go back real quick. Let me go over here and just give you my quick. I mean, I think I went over it pretty clearly here, guys. This is where we're at. We're down here below the floor on the RSI. This is important. It looks like we are trying to come back up. As you can see right here, we bounced down here. We are trying to come back up. It reminds me of this situation right here, where we come down and then we come back up. This is where we came down, came back up, hit the downward trending resistance, which is what we're doing right now. But if we break through that, we could see a nice pump up to 100, 105 on Bitcoin, but we might not get past this downward trending resistance, which would be right here. And if that's the case, then, and it's the end of the year, it also depends on what time of year it is, guys. If it's December 31st and we're going into January, then historically, then that means that whatever the top was the top, which would be, in this case, 126. We would have to break out of this and get above 126 in price within the next 2 weeks in order for us to really be in compliance with every other bull market. The only time that would be different is if this time is actually different and we continue to have a bullish market going into January. But that would be different than what has happened historically. So just to be clear, I'm not expecting it to be different. I will believe it when I see it. I hope it is different. I hope this time is different, but I have to go with what has been always happening in the charts. To me, price action this time so far has not proven to be different. This would have to break above this downward trending support resistance, get higher than here. And then this price would need to get higher than the all-time high, obviously. So we got a little ways for that to happen. It certainly can happen. And the only time you'll know if it's not going to happen is if we end the year below. Let's just go, I'm just go back there one more time. If we end the year below this floor, and then this price comes down below the 80, then we're probably going to free fall down here into the 70s. But we're holding support right now, and we are potentially breaking out of the downward trending resistance. So it's a very good possibility that this time is different, or it could be. But we're still kind of teeter-tottering up here. By the way, this is that was TradingView. if I go to the lower time frame on Phemex, we are okay. This is what's happening right now, guys, as we speak on the 1 hour time frame. We did hit resistance, we broke through, and we were coming down as to test as support. If it holds and bounces there, we start to climb to a higher high here, then that is it. We are breaking out and we are on our way up to the possibly the 98 to 100 range. Okay. And I'll of course post if that's happening. I will tell you my opinion in the chat and Discord. I will talk about signals there, and maybe I'll just record a video and post it. But it looks like we could be ready to do that. Now, if it falls back below this, back into this downward channel, then we could just come back down to the 84 range, still bouncing on this, maybe even down to the middle center line and double bottom here at 80. That's all possible. And if we break through that, then we could even come down, even all the way down to the bottom of this downward trending channel, back into this range here at 70K. That's all possible. So right now, we need to stay above this line at the 88K and hold. And then if that happens, then we're going to see a pump up to this level. All right, guys, I got to run. Get on the onboarding if you're new. And let's see, what is today? Today is we got to. Are we going to do our normal calls? Let's say Wednesday is Christmas Eve day. I will go live on Wednesday at 12 noon. And then that'll be it. I'll probably go live on Friday too. But we are not having a webinar for the public on Thursday. We are going to do it Saturday, the 27th instead, just as a end of the year call and last call for alcohol for those people who have been on many webinars. But you guys are already in the mastermind, so you don't need to worry about that. Merry Christmas to everybody. Hope you guys have a great time. Hopefully you be able to spend time with your family, friends, loved ones. And I will see you on Wednesday's call at 12 noon. Have a great rest of your day and just stay tuned and locked into the Signal channel. I'll give any update I see there, and I'm sure Chad will too. All right, guys. Talk to you later.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we do keep a lot of the stuff, but